All right, we're gonna talk about Scandal. Any questions? Okay. So we start off with Scandal. I'm trying to think what happened. It's like I have it all in my head, and then when I start to do a review, I forget. So my light irritating. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see how this goes. So we're gonna start off with Cyrus at the press conference. He was talking to all the reporters because of course Mellie has now announced that her man, the president of these United States of America, is an adulterer. And so now, of course, the ball is in Fitz's court for him to respond, for him to address the situation, or for him to address the situation as a whole to the public and to Mellie. So Cyrus is now having this press conference where he's basically doing damage control without answering any questions. And he's basically saying it's a private matter, which I've always felt that way. Like in a serious situation, a real situation, when it was Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky, I was like, this is none of our business that he like got a blowjob in the Oval Office or whatever. Like, really, it's just none of my business. But then on the other hand, you're like, okay, if he would lie and cheat on his wife, how is he an honorable enough man to run the country? I don't know if the two even go together, but if you can't be honest in your private life, then so it's like a double-edged sword, so to speak. But I do feel like it's private matter. Like, I hate when they put out politicians, oh, you had an affair, and it's like, okay, well, let the wife deal with that. Let her divorce him and get alimony, palimony, lalimony, or whatever she can do. And, leave it at that. Like, really, we don't need to know, like, the story, little details. But anywho, so, Cyrus is answering the questions. And, of course, his husband, is his husband's name James? I think James is there. So James is asking, the important questions. We got to get back to them, too. That whole conversation with James and Cyrus, that was so sad. But anywho, so they're like, well, where's the president now during the press conference? And Cyrus is like, I never can find like a working pen in this office, I swear. So Cyrus is like, yeah, where is the president? I mean, he didn't say that, but then we do a flashback, and then here's Cyrus like rolling up to Olivia's condo, because I know it's a condo, and he's like, the Secret Service is there, and he tells the guy at the door, the guy that we've seen before, I forget his name, but Cyrus tells him to step aside. I see something right over there, but it's not over there. So he tells him to step aside, and the guy's like, I don't take any orders unless it's from the president. And then Cyrus is like, I don't care, Jesus Christ. Okay? Came down here with an order because Jesus will save you. I will not. I will crush you and destroy you. So I suggest you move. And he's like, well, I need a reason to move. And he's like, he texted me that he's having a heart attack. Was that what he said? He said he's having a heart attack. He just texted me. Like, he texted you. Okay. So he steps aside, and of course Cyrus goes in, and Olivia and Fitz are still, in the throes of passion. And he's like, get up. So, they get up, and Olivia goes to work. Fitz goes to work, being the president. Yes, indeed. And so we got Olivia back at OPA, and then we got Fitz back at the White House. And then there's a little scene with Fitz and Olivia, and she's trying to put her spin on it. She's already working. She's like, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to see where Mellie's coming from. We're going to, this is what you're going to say. Da, 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 da. He's like, no, I'm going to need you to stand down. And I like that. I'm like, yeah, take the lead, take some responsibility. Don't fall back and let Olivia, because if he had to let Olivia handle it, I would have been like very disappointed. Like, don't let her try to handle this situation. And that's why I appreciated Harrison also, even though he really wants confirmation that Olivia is living with the president and she won't give it to him, which I'm glad. Please do not give him. I still say, I know we feel like we can trust Harrison, but at this point, especially after the ending of this episode, I feel like Harrison, no, you're not, no, don't admit anything, nothing. Though everybody at the White House knows, we don't need everybody at OPA knowing for sure. So they have their conversation. He tells her to stand down. This is me. I'm going to take care of this. I'm going to handle it. I don't need you to handle everything. Let me take care of it. He's still dealing with the fact that he didn't win the presidency. I know that's in the back of his head. So we move right along, and now he's back at the White House. Fitz is with Cyrus and other White House staff members, and they're trying to put their spin on the situation. Meanwhile, Fitz is like, let me just have the room. I don't want to, let me just talk to Cyrus. So that's when he tells Cyrus that he's not going to run for a second term. And Cyrus is like, look, if you want to sleep with Olivia, that's fine. I understand. You want to sleep with her. If you want me to wipe the lipstick off your collar, I can sneak her into Camp David or whatever he said. He'll sneak her in. He'll do this. You could just make up with Melly, and then you could sleep with, old girl. And he's like, no, you don't understand. Like, I love her. She's not my Monica Lewinsky. President Clinton did not love Monica Lewinsky. I love Olivia, and I want to live my life out loud and in front of everybody, and I want to be with the mom I love. Bam! So that was that. So Olivia's back at OPA, and that's when, I think that's when they're trying to find the mole. I really don't even care, I guess. I just don't. I just want to see what's going to happen with Olivia, Fitz, and Melly, and Cyrus. So. But anyway, they're looking into, I think, Sally Langston, who is, I believe, the vice president. And there she is back in the picture. I kind of like her, though. I like when they bring her in because her character is consistent, even though she's not always there. When things are going well, she's nowhere to be found. And then when things are going bad, she pops up. So I like her. She's kind of like another element that they add to the show to give it a little more spice. And it works. I like it. What else happened? There's a lot that happened. Stuff with Charlie. I'm trying to keep it in order. But anyway, Harrison confronts Olivia at one point, and he's like, you need to come clean. I need to know what your end game is. I need you to know that you are now a client and that you are in the eye of the storm. So I need you to tell me what it is that you want. And she's like, find the mole, get to work. None of your business. Don't admit it. Thank you, Olivia. Don't admit it. Don't. Sorry. Because, he wants to know so bad. But I know he knows, and everybody else knows. But I don't remember the point where everybody else found out. I just remember the point where Harrison was at the hospital trying to see Olivia, and he realized, the Secret Service was guarding her. And he was like, well, the only reason the Secret Service will be here is the president is in, close in the vicinity, and so on and so forth. So, what else did they do? Something about that Citron card, which of course is the key to defiance. I don't understand why Olivia ran into her office in front of everybody, especially in front of David. David's the guy, right? The guy with the glasses who lost his job, because of Olivia and her gang. So I don't understand why they trust him so. Of course, we saw the ending, so, and I wasn't surprised. I was like, well, he has reason, why do they think that he's going to fall under Olivia? When he had such a high power position and he's been reduced now to a college professor, which is a prestigious position, don't get me wrong, but he was active. A lot of professors sometimes are retired people who, did their job and now they can come back and teach, or, they've, lived some sort of life and now they can teach with their experience and their knowledge and things of that nature. He was cut short in his career and then, just shuffled on to, I don't even know if he's the college professor. He might have been working in a high school. Not to say that that's not a prestigious job, but you see what I'm saying. He was, U.S. State's attorney or whatever he was. That ain't what he was trying to do, was, teacher. Is what I'm saying. Hey, look, you can hold the globe in my hand. Okay, so they did that. Olivia ran to the safe in front of David and the gang. That was just stupid. I hate it when they do stupid stuff that's unbelievable and doesn't make any sense. And that was one of them. So anyway, So then they decide that they're going to send an email to, was it Sally Langston's daughter, to see if, in order to hack into her system to get to something. I don't know. It just wasn't that important to me. I'm sorry. Like, it was something they was trying to get into a system to do. And they discovered that she's probably not the mole anyway. On to Jake. Jake's talking to the black dude who is like the bad guy. So and Jake's like, sorry, I just went to McDonald's at like 9 o'clock at night. I love McDonald's coffee. I don't know about you, but it's the best. Okay, I'm already 10 minutes and y'all gonna be like, she talks much. So, okay. So, Jake talks to the bad guy. And is he bad? I think he's a bad guy, right? Or he has no boundaries. I think he said something like that. Like, I have no rules, I have no boundaries, blah, 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 blah. Because that's what he told Cyrus. He told Cyrus, Charlie never existed. Charlie is dead to you. Duh. And Cyrus like, cool. When I messed up, when Charlie called him, and he was like, hey. And he was like, what? Who's this? And Charles like, it's me, Cyrus. He's like, oh, I don't know. You might have to remember goodbye. It's like, damn, Cyrus is cold. But hey, you know, Charlie's colder. You dealing with a killer. Like, Charlie's expecting some sort of, like, I don't know, loyalty or like some sort of, I don't know. But anyway, so I guess this whole situation with the black dude, who I don't know his name, and he's setting up Charlie because they want to get rid of Charlie at this point. He also asked Jake for proof of him and Olivia sleeping together. Oh yeah, he also confronted Cyrus about that and asked him, like, why didn't you show him the video? Why are you holding on to it? And his reasoning was that Cyrus is too busy wanting to be buddy-buddy with Fitz, and I don't really think that is. I think he does like Fitz. I think he is probably like Fitz's best friend, and chief of staff. They do have a friendship, but I think more importantly, Cyrus wants to ride out his last few good years as chief of staff, which is basically, you know, what did he call himself, the pseudo president, or somebody said that. I took that from somebody. Like, he's like the president behind the scenes, and he doesn't just want to be a one term. You know, he wants to be a second term. Sorry, my phone's ringing. And, you know, he wants to do it another 4 years. I mean, it's not that long. He doesn't want to go out on a scandal. And he doesn't want to, like, you know, he wants to ride this out. He wants to go out with a good administration, and, you know, it's too short-lived at this point. So Cyrus wants to keep it going. I don't think it's that Cyrus is so buddy-buddy with Fitz. Plus, he knows that if he shows Fitz that whole situation with Jake and Olivia, if he is the one that brings that information to Fitz is going to be pissed. Fitz, you know how Fitz is. Once he decides, I'm not trusting you, you know, he shuts down, and he you know, he needs Fitz to be able to trust him. He needs Fitz to know that he's not out to hurt him. And, you know, he needs to know that Cyrus is on his side. So if he shows him that, if he's the one that brings that information to him, I think he's just going to look at him just a little bit different. Like, oh, by any means necessary, you just don't want me to be with Olivia. You know, it's really going to piss him off if Cyrus is the one that brings him that information. I think Cyrus knows that. He's trying to play his cards. He hasn't told Olivia that Fitz killed Verna, because that's going to be a deal breaker for Olivia, and he's not going forward with showing Fitz that tape of Olivia and Jake, because he knows that's, you know, dirty. So anyway, so I guess the black dude and Jake, you know, Jake gives him the tape of him and Olivia, and then I guess they decide they're going to kill Charlie. And they put some substance on his hands, and he knows something is up when he goes to his favorite bakery, and the lady behind the counter is not the same lady. And so, yeah, okay, this is taking so long to do this review. Sorry. And so he realized that the substance is on his hands and that it can be tracked via somebody. Somebody is trying to kill him. And of course, Charlie's a smart guy, starts touching everybody and everything, so they can't find him, they can't kill him. But he ends up with Huck. How did Huck find him? I really forgot about that. But Huck found him. Huck was going to kill him at the end. And that's when Quinn came in. She kind of creeped me out. Like, she was creeping me out at the end. I don't know about you, but the way she came in there like a shadow and in the dark and looking at him with her beady eyes, I said, "Ooh, she's looking crazy right now." Anyway, they end up letting Charlie go, but somehow Huck got Charlie and they end up letting him go. Oh, duh, because he came to Olivia and asked for Olivia to represent him because, you know, they trying to kill him. So that's how he got there. I'm remembering. Thank you. Meanwhile, Millie's meeting with a fixer like Olivia. And at first, when you first see him, you're like, oh, he's a pretty boy. You know, he thinks he knows it, but he's nowhere near like as good as Olivia, so we think. But he's pretty good because he read Melly. You know, she tried to read him because he's like, I need you to be honest with me. I need to be your hairdresser and your manicurist and your dentist and your grocer and your psychiatrist and your this and your that and your pillow and blah 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 blah. And she's like, you know what? I am not impressed. I am not intimidated. I'm not the little girl that needs her hand held while everybody talks big talk. Okay, I will be honest as long as it is an advantage for me to be honest. And I will be dishonest if I need to be too. So there we go. And he was like, oh, you're so good. I loved it when you did your whole thing about the miscarriage, girl. You know, you just got that little bit of southern, whatever he said. You know, you smart, but not too smart. You know, you mention your law degree all the time, you know, but you don't put it to use. And, you know, you're cute, but not a threat. Or you're smart and cute, but not a threat, blah, 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 blah. So he read her down. And, yeah, so, and then, of course, he's coming after her. He's like, well, how come you won't name the mistress? And she's like, because I'm not, you know. So he's like, oh, okay, that must be the ace card, whatever. So she's like, yeah, well, I know Fitz, and Fitz is gonna come around, and that's all that matters. Meanwhile, back at OTA, we got David talking to everybody. He's like, ooh, wait till they drop the name of his mistress, and everybody else is just kind of looking around like, ooh, yeah. And he's like, man, if she influences policy in any way, that's gonna be something. Because Abby was like, well, it's not, you know, you don't get taken out of office for having an affair. He's like, yeah, but if she has something to do with policy and if she's tipping the scales a little bit this way and a little bit that way, and any affairs that have to do with the White House in this country, oh, it's gonna be on and popping. So everybody's like, So anyway, so that's what happened with that. Meanwhile, Cyrus is trying to convince Fitz that he needs to run for a second term and that he needs not to give up and that he needs to make nice with Melly. That doesn't work. He's like trying to write this speech and that he's gonna, you know, just say, forget it. I'll ride out this term, but I'm not gonna run for a second term. And, you know, Cyrus is just devastated. So, of course, he talks to Olivia. I'm amazed at how Olivia was just so calm with Cyrus, knowing that he did have Elizabeth Tanner killed, not the first lady, but the chick way back at the beginning who was supposedly pregnant by the president, but she wasn't pregnant by the president. And, you know, they kind of just, I don't know, it just seemed like she would kind of be in his presence and have a different way of, you know, dealing with him and just kind of looking at him funny like, wow, you had this chick killed and blah, 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 blah. But, you know, it was same old Cyrus and Olivia. They're talking on the bench and, you know, she's like, you know, I can't convince him otherwise and this, that, and the other. But, of course, Cyrus always gets to Olivia and makes her feel guilty. And then, of course, she goes to talk to Fitz. And, you know, she's like, look, you need to run for a second term. This time, win it. You know, this time you can win on your own. And I think that was the thing that got him when she said, the way she said it, she was like, this time you will be winning it. Like, if you run for a second term, this is all on you. We're not fixing the election. We're not doing any of that. This is you. So, like, go into that second term, win it, and know that you won it because the people wanted you to be there. And I think when he finally at the end made his speech and said, you know, at first he was going to say that he wasn't going to run for a second term, but this time, you know, when he got up there, he didn't read the speech and he said, I want to, you know, write this out and whatever situation I'm dealing with my wife, that's between the two of us. And yes, I'm going to run for a second term and hopefully, you know, we can just move on. And carry on. So Cyrus was relieved, Olivia was relieved, and now what's going to happen with Olivia and Fitz, and is he going to divorce the first lady? And we don't know what's going to happen. Anyway, at the end, we see that David had the Citron card. He got it out of Olivia's office and he gave it over to some dude. Was I supposed to know who this dude is? What's his name? Charles Barkley? Charles Butler? I don't know. I was like, who's that? Do I remember him? I don't. I'm so sorry. Wasn't important. All we know is that David is a snitch. Man. But what would you expect? This dude's life and career was ruined by Olivia Pope and associates. And he took the woman that he loved, and even had her turn on him. So I just wasn't surprised. I was like, yeah, well, what do you expect him to do? Why are you guys so quick to trust him? Like, he was really definite, on finding out this whole election scam, and they just ruined his life. He's been framed for murder. Just everything. Like, why do you think he would just fall into line so easily? He is the alpha male. He's not going to fall into line that easily. And he wants revenge. So we saw it at the end, and now we got to wait for the season finale. If I missed anything, I'm sorry. I just forgot, and it just wasn't that important to me. Sorry. And Jake, of course, failed. So is Jake going to die? Because Jake did not kill Charlie. Charlie got away, and Huck let Charlie get away. And did they think that Charlie took the card? Because it wasn't Charlie that David got in the car with. It was somebody else. At least it didn't look like Charlie. Was it Charlie? I gotta look up that again. Because I don't even know. I don't even know what that was. I just know David is a snitch and he took the Citron card back. And bam, bam. Thank you, ma'am. All right, that's it. Bye.